New Orleans, Louisiana. My family moved to Mississippi when I was about 13 years old after Hurricane Katrina. And I moved a few times and lived a lot of places, northern Louisiana, Mississippi, and now I am living in Baltimore, Maryland. I actually moved up here to pursue my master's degree in intercultural communication, which my background is languages, and I absolutely love the French language and culture and everything about it. And I currently teach French and Spanish at Pikesville High School in Pikesville, Maryland. I'm married to David Muhammad, bonus parent to his 4 daughters, and so many other things to go into who is Makeva Armant. But I definitely had a life growing up that was, we had a bit of a struggle growing up, but now I would say a lot of those things that we suffered through and not having all the newest, latest things in fashion and technology has made me who I am today. You know, I am very hardworking and very perseverant, and I love going out into my community, making a difference, and using my platform, #GetImmersed, to open up the world to languages and cultures from around the world. Reigning Mrs. United World 2022. I won my title in September during Labor Day weekend in Austin, Texas. And well, Round Rock, Texas, which is not really that far from Austin. But the United World pageant system is one that is super unique to me. It is based in high fashion and really standing on the phrase "United we stand." For someone like me, coming from a background with languages and cultures and really wanting to bring the world together and bridge those gaps between affluent communities and underserved communities when it comes to exposure and opening the world up to our young kids so that they can be those global leaders in the future, I felt that this pageant was perfect for someone like me. You know, I have made connections with people across the world, like yourself, and people, cultures, through being able to make those connections and standing as a united people. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're all sharing this earth, and fear comes from the unknown. If we understand each other better, if we speak languages together, if we are able to bridge those gaps and cross those borders and cross those boundaries into each other's cultures and understand and appreciate our differences, then we will really, truly be able to stand united. Because it was something new and different and unique. I noticed that from the advertisement that I saw on social media and even from reading their mission on the website, United World Pageants is all about promoting women and standing behind women and truly empowering women and allowing us to have a voice for what we're passionate about. So while this system does not technically have one social cause that it promotes, it is supportive of whatever social cause each of its individual queens represent. So for me, that was promoting diversity through the study of world languages and cultures. My sister queen, Deborah, she loves Alex's lemonade stand. I have another sister queen who is an activist for anti-bullying and also suicide awareness. So all of these are very strong, powerful causes. And the United World Pageant System, instead of taking that voice from us and saying, no, we want you to promote this, they allow us to promote what we are passionate about and continue to stand united in the world through our different causes, and they uplift us through those causes. So that is the number one reason why I decided to join this organization. And Jessica, the founder, she is amazing. She has been nothing but supportive of us the entire time. I could not wait to meet her when we were in Texas. And when we finally did get there, we had a blast. The entire weekend was so fun. Everyone is so personable and down to earth. You didn't feel like just a number. Like, they literally know you by name. And it is such an experience that I've never had in pageantry ever. So that is why I chose this system. And I'm so happy that I did. Prepared by going over different interview questions that I've been asked in the past, or some possible interview questions that I may have received during interview. I made sure that I was 100% authentically myself. For this system, we had to provide a bio sheet, and that is where most of our questions came from. The judges were really interested in knowing about who we are, and not necessarily just, you know, random facts about things that we might know about the world, which are important, but they really want to know who we are and have us be proud and stand in who we are and what our work is in this world. So I made sure that I was honest about everything about myself on my bio sheet. And when I went into my interview, I was able to speak truly from my heart and authentically be myself in my interview. Also, I practice my walking, my modeling every single day. For about a month or 2 months leading up to the competition, I practiced for swimwear, I practiced for gown. I also got with some of my friends and had them read some interview questions to me to go over that, just to make sure that I was comfortable and I was confident when I entered that room and also when I stepped on that stage. I also did my own makeup. That's a fun fact. I did my own makeup and my own hair the entire weekend, this is the first time that I've ever done that. I usually have a cousin of mine who is a makeup artist. I hire her and I fly her out, but she could not make it this time and I was devastated. But I worked really hard. I learned all the tips and all the tricks, and I've been doing my own makeup ever since, even today. There hasn't been much of a change, simply because with this organization, they allow us to promote what we are passionate about. And I have always been a strong believer in, when you take on a new title, when you take on a new responsibility, you're supposed to be able to effortlessly bring that into what you already do in your daily life. And because I am a French teacher, a Spanish teacher, someone who has an organization through which I provide world language services to underserved communities, and I live and I breathe the cultures every single day, when I brought that as my platform, there was no need for a change. This is me. This is the real me. This is who I am authentically. And this is my work in the world. And that is what I am allowed to promote as Mrs. United World 2022. So there weren't many changes. I would say my schedule got a little bit busier. I have been making a lot more appearances. I've been modeling in Fashion Week New York. I've hosted bowling tournaments. I've been to Texas. I'm now in North Carolina visiting to see the Miss North Carolina USA competition tonight. And so I've been a little bit more busy because I've been trying to rock this beautiful crown and this amazing title as much as I possibly can. But inwardly, I would say I've been able to be authentically myself. So there has not been a need for a change. Pantry feeding. So I've gone to the Maryland Food Pantry and helped package food items there for people in need. I've also helped with community cleanups locally. I've traveled to Pennsylvania. I've been all around Maryland, helping to just give back to my community in many different ways, not only through our languages, which obviously is my passion, but also in any kind of way that someone needs. I am donating cards this Valentine's Day to help with someone's local platform, which is they're going to be sending Valentine's cards to military families and homeless people. So I'm pretty much kind of dabbing here and there, just making sure that I'm available and able to help and assist in my community in many different ways. I originally was running from being a pageant coach. I had my very first client in the winter or fall of 2020. And her mom had been asking me for months to coach her. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I think that I'm pretty okay as a pageant contestant myself, but as a coach, I'm not sure. But I went ahead and I coached her. Obviously she was confident enough to reach out to me. She saw something in me that she wanted me to instill in her daughter. And it's been uphill from there. I've had many clients across several different systems ever since then with Power of the Crown coaching. And we've won titles, international titles. We've placed in the top 5 in the winner's circle. We've placed in top 15. We've won many different awards for runway, best interview, and several different accolades for those beautiful young ladies, which of course is not all me, it's definitely them as well. But I've just been blessed and honored really over the past year and a half to have been able to work with young women across different systems and help to be a mentor, for them and a guide for them throughout not just pageantry, but also life. Again, I'm a teacher, so I know how to relate to these young people. I know how to reach them and how to talk to them and how to guide them throughout their journeys as teenagers and young adults. So I have just been having a wonderful time over the past couple of years, in not only this title, but also in my role as a pageant coach. I think that pageants are important in today's world, not only for, of course, giving young women the opportunity to go to college through scholarship, but also because it gives them a voice. Many of the young women prior to competing in pageants, like myself, didn't really know what we were passionate about. We didn't really have something that we stood firm on and looked at the world for ways that we wanted to better it. Now we have women with all kinds of platforms, all kinds of social issues and social causes that they stand for, and things that they want to bring to the world to make it a better place. Pageantry allows that to be so. Pageantry is the way that many of us have grabbed a hold of something and made it our life's purpose, made it our life's work. You have many different nonprofit organizations that have come about because of pageantry. You have many leaders that have come about because of pageantry. So for those people who are naysayers about pageantry, yes, we go on stage and we model in our gowns and we model in our swimsuits and we interview with judges, but those are just parts of ways for the audience to get to know us, and for us, it's fun. Like, I love modeling on stage in gown. I love being able to run a fun fashion on stage. It empowers me. It makes me feel so much spunk and excitement while I'm modeling on stage. And honestly, in the moment, it's not even about the competition. It's about being able to raise my voice and say, here are the issues that I see in my world, and this is how I'm going to help to make it better. And of course, the sisterhood. We love meeting young ladies from all over the world. I've been in competitions that are local. I've been in state competitions. I've even competed internationally. So being able to have sister queens like yourself that I've met from the UK, from Australia, from South Africa, from China, oh my gosh, it's just amazing to be able to make those connections and have those strong bonds between women who are really trying to make a difference.
Wow.
Be the solution or get out of the way. Honestly, if you just cannot find any good in pageantry, that is fine. Maybe it is not for you. It is not for everybody. While it does we do have all these beautiful and amazing outcomes from pageantry, if you still choose not to see the beauty and the good that comes from pageantry, then that is your choice. I cannot change your mind. Hopefully, one day it might change, but I'm not here to do that. I'm here to do what I set forth, and that is to connect the world and unite the world through languages and cultures and tear down the barriers and the bridges that we hold up as differences and excuses to hate each other. That is what my goal is. If you don't want to like pageantry, I'm so sorry, and it breaks my heart, but so is life. And this may not be a popular opinion here, but I would say the hardest part about winning and losing a pageant are the same exact thing. You cannot compete again for a whole year. Like, honestly, the joy and the excitement that I receive when I'm in a room full of powerful women who are on a mission and trying to achieve different goals, but also similar goals. Like, we're all trying to make the world a better place. So it's the same goal, but we have different approaches, right? And then also being able to be on that stage and just walk that runway and speak with the judges, have those authentic conversations and pour out of yourself to complete strangers. It is so exhilarating and exciting. So when you go there and you do all these things and then you win the crown, it's like, gosh, I can't have this feeling again for a whole nother year because I cannot compete while I am Mrs. United World 2022. And then also, if you do not take home the title, it's like, gosh, now I have to wait a whole nother year to do this again to hopefully try and take home this title. So for me, winning and not taking home the title, they both have like the same thing as the hardest reality is like, I have to wait a whole year before I'm able to be back here, be back on the stage, be back with my sister queens in the same environment.
Wow.
Interview. I believe that in the interview is when you are one-on-one with the judges, when you have the opportunity to truly share your heart and your mission and your work with the judges. You have the opportunity to show them who you are, let them have a peek into your personality, your daily life, what you're passionate about, what makes you upset, what makes you cry, what excites you, and then also how you're going to lead this organization into the future, into the next stage. How are you going to brand this organization and be able to connect this organization to other organizations? It's all about partnerships and collaborations and growth. So the interview is absolutely the most important part, in my opinion, of any pageant system, because that is when the judges truly get to hear from you on several different topics. Like, you have your onstage question, but typically that's one question, 30 seconds, or less. But in an interview, sometimes you have 2 minutes, sometimes you have 5 minutes. And it truly is an opportunity for the judges to really get to know you and what you bring to the table.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. On the very basic level, I would say do's and don'ts for pageantry. First, be yourself. Absolutely, everywhere you go, you should always be authentically you. You should never join an organization that's going to make you change who you are fundamentally. Now, if there's some growth that needs to be done, great. And if you're okay with that growth, then great. But fundamentally, who you are and what you're passionate about, you should be able to do that and go to a competition or to an organization and be yourself always. That is what I instill in my girls when I'm coaching. I say the first thing that you want to do before you compete in an organization or in the system is to research. Definitely look at their competitions. Find out what their platform is. Find out what they're passionate about, what they're promoting. And if that aligns with your life values, then by all means join. If that does not align with who you are as a person and what you're passionate about, I wouldn't say don't do it, but I would say it'd be hard. I would use an example. I competed a couple of years ago in the Earth system, and I wouldn't say that I'm against climate change. Absolutely, I'm not. But I had never really promoted climate change and climate responsibility and being environmentally friendly. So this was something that was new for me. I did all the research that I needed to do. I joined this organization as a contestant, and I grew from that. I took this as a journey to grow and to become a better person, not only for myself, but obviously also for the earth, for my environment. So in those cases, when you don't really know much about the platform that the organization is promoting, then I would say go ahead, go for that so that you can grow. But if it's something that you are completely it just does not click for you, and you would have to change yourself way too much to try and fit the mold of what they're looking for, I wouldn't recommend that girls go to those systems, because a lot of the times you'll leave hurt. You leave, exhausted because you lost who you were along the way. You're trying really hard to be something and someone that you're not. And a lot of the times that does the opposite of what pageantry is for. Pageantry should be uplifting. Pageantry should be empowering. Pageantry should be encouraging. And if you're trying to chase something that you're not, then you're not going to have those experiences in pageantry. In today's society, everything is kind of centered around how much exposure can you help us receive? How much growth can you bring to this organization? So one particular thing that I would say is to make sure that you have a really big social media presence. If you are not big on social media, then you pretty much won't be able to reach many people in today's age. Everyone is on TikTok, everyone is on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat. And if you have the ability to share your platform and share what you're passionate about via social media often, and make sure that you're vlogging and documenting all of your appearances, all of your community service, all of your social work that you're doing via social media, this allows the organization to really see that you are about what you say you're about. You are out there in the community. You are promoting this platform. You are standing for a change, and people can see that. And then also, in addition to that, I would say public speaking skills. That is one huge part of being a pageant queen. When you're in situations like this one, where you have to do appearances, when you have to meet with people of really, really high titles and statues, like you want to be able to communicate with them on different levels. You want to be able to communicate and speak and connect with someone like the President of the United States, as well as a 3-year-old, to be able to let them know and share your platform on all these different levels. And obviously, again, as a teacher, that is something that I am very skilled in. Differentiating is what we call it in the classroom. I'm able to organize my lessons so that I'm able to reach each student and touch their different learning styles. So being able to have that communication skills is what is probably the number one thing that a pageant queen needs to have today. Looks and hair, and although all those things can come, like that can be given to you, that can be easily trained by professionals. But if you are not able to connect with people, it's not really going to work for you. I would say, live and let live, and to just be happy. Happiness for everyone is different. And I am really at an age, I just turned 30. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm really, truly trying to make sure that I know what true happiness looks like for me. Because in my 20s, it might have been a nice shopping spree or a quick trip or a nice meal or something. But really having those core values like family and real friendships and real connections in your community are things that can really help to bring happiness and joy into your life. And being able to have a rich, fulfilled life is something that I think is very, very important. I believe that people should live their lives and find happiness and also allow others to do the same, and really, really fight to live in what your passions are and allow others to do the same. Someone else's passions may not be what your passions are. Someone else's convictions may not be what your convictions are. So live, let live, and find happiness. To me, like the number one thing that is important to me is family. I come from a very close-knit family. We are so tight. And it really broke my heart to move to Baltimore from Louisiana, because now I'm so far away from my family and I miss a lot of the family gatherings, because my family gets together for like everything, and everything's a party. And from New Orleans, so everything is literally a party, and we just enjoy each other's company, and we are always there for each other no matter what. So family is number one for sure for me, over everything. Not even anything material, like literally family is absolutely everything. Initially, I would have gone with world languages and war, maybe bridging the gaps between communities and finding our commonality so that we can stop and like end hatred. But I think that I would probably discuss climate change and climate education, because coming from a low-income community in New Orleans, Louisiana, we were not taught about climate change. In fact, anytime we heard about climate change, it was not real. Like, it was crap. It was not true. They were lying to us. And as an adult now, I see that every decision that I make really truly does have an impact on our world and our future, and whether or not we'll still have Earth in the next, 100 years or so. So I would definitely discuss that with this world leader, because those kids growing up in communities similar to the one that I grew up in need to understand that they have a power to change the future just by not littering, just by recycling, just by using less energy. Just by doing small steps every day in their lives to become habits that can change the trajectory of our Earth. Social media and the access to the internet and the exposure that the kids have these days. 9 times out of 10, most of the time, your footage or your content that you're putting on social media may not be seen by others, and everyone's driven by likes. I need likes, I need shares, I need reshares, I need reposts, I need people to be engaging with me on social media, and not even so much in person, but on social media, to keep up an appearance of popularity, you know. So I feel that today's generation is for sure pressured to perform, because I mean, they're making millions of dollars for just posting videos on social media. So that is what a lot of kids today are chasing after. And unfortunately, you know, everyone's not gonna make it to that level of influencer status, you know. So it can be hard, and it causes a lot of depression. It causes a lot of self-doubt and lower self-esteem, because kids can't keep up with some of these other more popular kids who started years and years ago doing this stuff. Like, they didn't do it overnight, you know. And they're like trying to do it overnight and trying to get there. And it's caused a lot of issues for today's society, I will say, yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have to go back to being as harsh or overprotective as our parents were when it comes to, you know, taking the phone and, you know, putting us off the internet, or giving us time to allotted time frames to be on social media and such. But I think that parents and kids should be able to find a happy medium, you know, because we are losing that closeness and that connectedness in families, because the mom's over here on the couch on her phone, and then the kids in the room on the phone, and will never leave their bedroom, you know. And then you have issues that come up like, we have no connection here. I don't even know who my parents are, because I never talk to them, and I'm in the same house with them. And if we're able to find some kind of happy medium to where, okay, you know, it's time for us to get back to having those family nights, you know, those game nights, those movie nights where we spend time with our parents and we just talk, having dinner together at the dinner table, because we all have dinner tables in our houses and we're not using them. So let's go back to the dinner table and have those conversations and enjoy our meals together. You know, put the phones down for a little while. They're not all bad, obviously. They're super great for certain things, but we need to come back to our humanity as well. Like, leave social media where it's at for sometimes and just reconnect with those people who are right in front of us. I trust in today's youth, they are very smart and very strong-willed. So I do believe that it can happen. So my secret is naps. I will say I am extremely busy all the time, and I teach in the daytime. I run the pageant coaching in the evenings, as well as Immersed Global, where I'm providing tutoring and one-on-one teaching of French or Spanish to adults. And then I have my husband and my family that in my home that I take care of, my cats. And I also have friendship that I have to cultivate and make sure that I stay in those connections. And I have my pageant title and appearances. So I am extremely busy. So the one thing that I think kind of keeps me going and kind of helps me to reset, aside from obviously my spiritual walks and having times to just take a break and hone in on what, you know, my happiness, is taking naps. Absolutely, naps is my answer, because I call them my brain breaks, because I have a Capricorn mind and it is always going at 1,000 miles an hour. It does not matter what the topic is. So whenever I have a chance to, if I have, you know, 30 minutes in the day or an hour, I will just reset. I have to go to sleep, because that is the only time where my mind is not racing. And I can just kind of start over, because I will have a million things on a to-do list, or I will have, you know, something that I didn't do and I need to get back to it, or a client that I need to get on a Zoom call with, or grades that I need to put into the system for my students. So naps are my go-to. And I've had to learn how to do that as an adult, because as a young adult, you know, leaving my teenage years and my early adult years, I didn't nap at all. But now, oh, I love my naps. I have to say that I don't have just one. And honestly, that seat has been filled by several people over my lifetime. I think that oftentimes we hear the word role model and we think that it always has to be one person, and it will always be that person for all of our life. But that's not the case, at least for me. I've had a role model for different areas of my life. You know, when I was younger, I grew up in a Pentecostal church, and there was a minister there, Minister Cage, and she was my role model. To me, she exemplified everything that we wanted to be as young women when we got older to be women. You know, she was very faithful in the church. She was very helpful in the church. She was very youthful and exciting, and she was always there to help and assist wherever needed. But she was also authentic to herself. And I always knew that I wanted to make sure whatever I did, I wanted to be able to be Makeva in everything that I do. And because that's a heavy load when you're not able to be yourself. That's a lot to carry. So because of that, she was my role model for most of my childhood. And then also, of course, my mom. My mom will always be someone in my life that I idolize, because I know the things that she went through growing up, from her growing up to also marrying and getting a divorce from my dad, raising all of me and my sister and my brother alone on her own, and with, you know, the help of family, of course. But I know the strength that she has, and I obviously idolize that and want to be able to carry that type of strength into my future, into having my own family, into raising my own kids with my husband. And finally, if I had to pick one celebrity that I would say that I idolize, it's tough. I mentioned to you before that I've been listening to the Super Soul Conversations by Oprah Winfrey lately, and they've really been very eye-opening for me and very powerful for my spiritual growth and my spiritual walk, and just helping me to understand all these different concepts and spirituality and happiness and life. And so that is someone that I admire, but I think that I probably idolize a little more Gabrielle Union. She is so beautiful. She has a heart of gold. She has so much strength. And I just truly admire her for who she is, and always being able to take a stand and be her authentic self whenever she's, you know, asked to take these roles that may not be what she wants to exemplify in a character. You know, she's not afraid to turn them down. And in Hollywood, that might not be a great idea, but she stands up for herself. And I just really have loved her for a long, long time. And I would have to say that she's probably the one person that I idolize.
Wow.
My purpose is to expand the world of underserved youth. And I do not mean physically to expand the world, but I mean to expand their world. I've been teaching now for 8 years. And up until this year, I've always taught in underserved communities. I started as a Teach for America teacher, and I taught in Greenville, Mississippi, where most of my students had never been outside of Greenville. And some of you probably have never even heard of Greenville. So that lets you know how small their world is. And as someone with a language background who's traveled to Paris and Luxembourg and Amsterdam and Iceland, and I've seen parts of the world that I want my students to be able to see and experience, so that they know what is truly out there and what nourish it and make it, you know, change it and just evolve it into something even greater than what we have now. So I believe that that is my mission, and I'm doing that. I'm working on my mission through Immersed Global. Through Immersed Global, I have already this past year signed my first contract with a local elementary school and placed a Spanish teacher in that school for those kids. So those students are now able to be introduced to the Spanish-speaking world. And hopefully in the future, I will be able to provide study abroad opportunities for those students, like I've done for students in the past, and actually provide scholarships and grants for students who are going to college and want to study languages and want to see the world. I believe that that is truly what I'm here to do, to open up the world to those students and help them become the global leaders that I know, their parents know, their leaders know that they can be. Get your brain breaks and always, always, always be yourself. That is the number one thing when approaching anything in life, any new career paths, any new relationships. If you're interested in doing pageantry, remember that true happiness comes from you when you're able to authentically express who you are and be who you are in every situation.
Yeah.